Welcome back to the Prepared Father Boy. This is Dylan. Today we're going to be diving into the most important topic in the EDC world, and that's choosing your carry gun. We're going to be talking about my current EDC, my previous guns, and the process that I've really tried to stick to and create to choose the right choice for me and you guys. All right. So what I'm carrying now is the FN509. I switch it up between the X300 and the Surefire with the House on 407K. And on days that I got to conceal better, I use the CZP-10S with the Vortex Defender. My hope is that this makes choosing a carry gun a little easier and a little more manageable. All right, so let's be honest. You could walk into your local gun shop, stare at the display case, and something shiny catches your eye, and you're like, oh, well, I'll fill out the paperwork and walk out with a new carry gun. But let's face it, not exactly the most thought-out way to go about it. So I prefer to take a much more methodical approach. Now, over the years, I've developed a system that really breaks these down into two different phases. Phase one is the research, the YouTube videos, the articles, the whole shebang. Now, before we dive into the specifics, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let me know in the comments what your current carry gun is. So let's get started, all right? Let's dive into the most meat of how I choose a carry gun. Now we're going to break it down, like I said, into two phases, the fact-finding phase and the experimental phase. All right, these phases really help me figure out, and maybe you figure out, which guns are worth investing my time, my money, and my ammo into. All right, now let me explain how this process works and why it's a game changer. First, phase one. The phase one is all about research. You're going to you can do all this from your couch. Every bit of it's online. You don't have to leave your house for anything. All right, you talk to your buddies, read articles, like I said, watch your favorite gun tubers and gun tubers you hate. Really dig into the details. All right, so here's what I look for in phase one. Mature technology. Is this gun built around a proven platform? Has the manufacturer worked out all the kinks? Because I don't want to be a beta tester for unproven designs. All right. Number two, does the manufacturer have a track record of quality and reliability like Glock? Do they stand behind their products if something goes wrong? Number three, adaptability and industry support. Are there aftermarket options like holsters and sights and lights and, the nitty-gritty accessories that we're looking for? Because I want a gun that can grow with me, all right, and my needs. And number four, chambering and caliber. Does it use a caliber that's readily available? Is the caliber affordable and effective? Do I have enough money to use 45 ACP once a week when I go to my range trip to keep my skills sharp? All right. And if you can afford it, that's good. If not, that's a no-go for me. Now, phase one is really about narrowing down the field. And by the time I finish my research, I've got a short list of guns that meet these criteria. That's when you move on to phase two. Phase two is where the rubber meets the road, or in this case, the rounds hit the paper. All right, this is all about hands-on testing. Some of it can happen in a gun shop or at a rental range, but honestly, most of this comes from after the purchase. Now, here's what I'm looking for in phase two. Does the gun go bang every time I pull that trigger? All right, if it doesn't, it's out. No exceptions. Number two, accuracy. Can I consistently hit what I'm aiming at? This is the must, especially for a carry gun. Number three, ergonomics. How does it feel in my hand? How does it carry? Does it work with my draw stroke and shooting style? When I pull that, can I get a master grip on it and go to work immediately, right? Now, you're going to figure this stuff out by putting rounds down range and carrying the gun in your waistband. There's absolutely no substitute for first-hand experience, all right? Now, I know there are a million ways to skin this cat. Don't just take my advice. Get a second opinion. Be cautious about who tells you what gun to buy without explaining how they arrived at that decision or considering other options. My goal here is to help you think about how to choose a carry gun, not just hand you a list of top picks that I've chosen that I've had or I've shot or, that I trust. That said, I will mention a few guns that are like all around solid choices and pretty hard to go wrong with. So stay tuned for those. We'll get into them later in the video. This process is about finding a perfect carry gun for you, not just following trends or picking what's popular. Because when you put in the work during phase 1 and 2, you'll end up with a pistol that you trust with your life. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to matter. So let's talk about one of the most overlooked criteria when it comes to choosing a carry gun, and that's mature technology. So what do I mean by that? Essentially, it's about choosing a firearm that's been on the market long enough to have the bugs worked out. It's not flashy or exciting, but it's a critical factor, especially if you're carrying a gun for defense purposes. So no matter how much testing a manufacturer does before releasing a gun, there's absolutely no substitute for real world use. I'm talking about tens of thousands of people putting that firearm through its paces, using it, abusing it, carrying it daily, and finding out all the quirks that might not show up in factory testing. Case in point, the Sig Sauer P320. You know what I mean? It's a great gun now, but when it first came out, there were issues. I mean, shit, dude, the gun shot by itself. That's a fucking problem in my eyes. But they worked out the kinks from what I understand. And now, thousands of people carry it, especially for duty. So how do you avoid being a guinea pig for a new design? That's easy, guys. Just wait. You know what I mean? I recommend giving a gun at least 2 years on the market before you consider it for defensive use. But by then, any significant design flaws or, whatever issue there are, hopefully they'll be corrected. Now, if you're looking at a modified version of an already existing design, like the Gen 5 Glocks that now have the MOS plates, or, the M&P carry comp or something like that, the stuff that's kind of, they've built onto that, that's probably a safe, easy bet to go. All right, so here's the thing. Sometimes these design bugs, they never get fixed, and the underlying design in and of itself is faulty beyond repair. So how are you going to know? That's research. Lots and lots of research. Now, I'm talking not just one YouTube video or reading one blog. Cast a wide net. You know what I mean? Read reviews from different sources. Watch videos from multiple creators. Get a variety of perspectives. Talk to many people shooting at the gun range, not just the gun shop, because they'll put fucking anything in your hand. All right. Now, if you're lucky enough to have disposable income for range toys, sure, go ahead. Buy that brand new whiz-bang Wonder Gun. All right, have fun with it. But if you're choosing a firearm for defensive use, you gotta find something that you're gonna stake your life on. Be patient. Give it time. All right, it's gonna prove itself over in the real world, and you're not gonna have to suffer the consequences because that's cost. On the surface, it might seem like a secondary consideration, but trust me, it's not. For a lot of people, budget plays a huge role in the decision-making process. And there's a fine line to walk here. While I absolutely want you to equip yourself with the best possible gear, it's equally important to avoid putting yourself in a tough financial spot. So what's the takeaway? Don't blow your entire budget on a gun. So if you have $1,200, don't drop it on a high-end Dan Wesson 1911 when a Glock 19 would do the same job. Why not? You know what I mean? Because there's so much about carrying a firearm besides the gun itself. Let's break it down. First up is holsters. You know what I mean? A quality holster is going to be one of the most important things, because a cheap holster can actually create more problems than it solves. All right, a good one will run you anywhere from 50 to 100, like this one from C&G. Great company, great brand. I would trust my life with this holster any day of the week, and I have trusted my life with it. All right. Because if you just get a flimsy holster, you're setting yourself up for failure, boys. Here, this is $150 right here in magazines. They wear out. These things are disposable. Over time, the spring in this is going to crack. The follower is going to break. The plastic little plate on the bottom here is going to stretch out and possibly give you feeding issues. All right. This is something to at least consider in your budget, okay? And now let's talk about ammunition. This is a big one. Because especially right now with ammo prices being the way they are, you're going to need a lot of rounds to test your gun's reliability, the accuracy, and your own ability to manage the recoil on it. I'm talking 250 rounds on the first day you buy it. All right, and 1,000 rounds minimum before you trust your life to it and your family's life. All right, trust me, it's not about just reliability testing, it's skill development. It's making sure when you pull that gun, you get that master grip, you put that out, that dot or these sights are right on your target. And when you pull that trigger, whatever is beyond your target is fucking gonna stop. You know what I mean? Whatever that may be. All right, now let's get into brands. All right, now there are plenty of great options out there that won't break the bank. I'm talking about FN, CZ, Beretta, Glock, SIG, Smith & Wesson. All of these places have relatively solid reputations, all right? Glock in particular is known for some of the most reliable firearms on planet Earth. If you're looking at the SIG 320 or 365 lines, they're excellent choices. Now, if you are interested in the 365, I recommend you just check out Justin Worst's channel. He just did a review on the P365 Fuse. Absolutely, if you watch that, you will definitely want to open your wallet and get that. On the flip side, I'd caution you against brands like Bursa, Psy, and Taurus. Even though Taurus has improved over the last 10 years, I definitely wouldn't trust my life to it, all right? When you're talking about these brands, ask yourself a few key questions. Are their firearms widely used? Are they approved for duty use or law enforcement or military? Do they have a strong reputation for reliability and durability? And perhaps most importantly, is their customer service worth a shit? All right. Are they worth standing behind their products? Now, these factors can tell you a lot about whether a brand is worth your hard-earned money. It is often overlooked, but I want to talk adaptability too, because I like to think of this as future-proofing. You don't want to buy a gun and then realize 6 months later, man, I wish I could put a light on the bottom of this bad boy. I wish you could mount a red dot on top of it. Because trust me, you're going to thank yourself later for considering these features up front. Does your chosen firearm have a rail-like attachment for lights and lasers? Because adding a weapon-mounted light is more than tactical flair. It's a game changer in low-light scenarios. If you're using this for home defense, you're going to want a light, buddies. All right. Does it have ability to mount a red dot optic? Because I get it. Some people are hesitant about red dots at first. But I'm telling you, if your fundamentals are solid, a red dot is going to take your shooting to an absolutely new level. Now, if you're considering an optic, make sure you choose one that's been rigorously tested by consumers. You want something proven your life could depend on. Two that I will highly recommend is the Vortex Defender and Holosun 407K. I've tested these both pretty extensively. If you're more on a budget, I would look into Sidely. Sidely offers some pretty great options too. Also, what you're going to do is do this thing called buying into a family. What do I mean by that? That's, a single manufacturer line of firearms that have similar characteristics but vary in size. Why? Because this often lets you share magazines between guns, which is a huge benefit. Like, for example, Glock 19 can use Glock 17 mags, and the Glock 26 can use the 19 and the 17. That's efficiency right there. For me, the FN 509 series is fantastic for the exact same reason. All right, it's got the full-size, mid-size, compact, the newer CC, the newer Edge models. They've got something for absolutely everyone. And the modularity across the line makes it, a smart long-term investment. Now, next up is industry support. This is probably a crucial consideration, especially when it comes to holsters. Now, I've done some deep dives into holsters here on the channel, so I won't regurgitate it. But the bottom line is you need a holster that's good. The more mainstream your firearm is, the more holster options you're going to have. Before buying a gun, I recommend cruising a few top-tier holster maker websites. Tier 1, T-Rex Arms, Filster, C&G. These are all great places to start. And if your firearm isn't supported by these companies, you might want to reconsider your choice. But holsters are just the beginning. Industry supports includes lights, sights, optics. Are high-quality options readily available for your chosen firearm? What about replacement parts, like barrels, slides, triggers, springs? All right, let's not forget about magazines. They wear out over time, and you don't want to end up with a gun that is hard to find or overpriced mags like the FN does. In phase 2, you're going to talk about manipulating controls. This is how well you can manipulate it. I'll give you an example from my experience. I once worked with a student who carried a 1911, but they refused to use the thumb safety, claiming their arthritis made it difficult. And now this was a disaster waiting to happen. Guns like the 1911 or double action or single action pistols in general require proper handling, all right? And now that's the safeties and decocking levers. If you can't confidently operate these features, you're introducing an unnecessary risk. In my opinion, modern striker-fired pistols are designed to be holstered without a manual safety. These are the better choice. However, if you prefer safety, choose a gun with a well-designed one. A good example is the Shield EZ. That features a large ambidextrous safety that's way easy to manipulate, in contrast to the regular Shield, which has a tiny little safety. If you go on my channel and look, you'll see that safety is tiny, and for a defensive situation, you don't want something small and tiny like that to manipulate. All right. Now, other controls, magazine release, side stop, trigger, should also be manageable. If you can't release the magazine or cleanly operate the slide stop, if you can't, pull that trigger, it could compromise your ability to reload, make your firearm safe, introduces a whole bunch of problems. All right, talk portability. It's treated as secondary for some people, but it's pretty important. All right, here's the reality. If carrying your gun feels like a chore, you definitely are going to stop carrying it. I've made this mistake myself, choosing guns that were too large or too uncomfortable to carry daily. And at the same time, going too small isn't the answer either. Tiny guns are easy to carry, but are way harder to shoot and way less ergonomic and sometimes even less reliable. Finding a balance is key, or finding something that works for you is key. All right. Ask yourself this: can I conceal the gun in my normal wardrobe? All right. A good holster makes the world a difference, but you shouldn't have to overhaul your entire closet to carry this properly. At most, you might need a better belt, slightly larger pants, an untucked shirt. But if you're forced to wear a jacket in the summer just to hide your firearm, it's time to rethink your choice. Comfort's another factor. If a gun digs into your side or constantly pulls your pants down, this gun's going to sit at home instead of being carried. And on the flip side, if the gun is so small and lightweight that you barely notice it, it might not be sufficient for your defensive needs. Strive for balance. Find a gun that's comfortable enough to carry, yet capable enough to defend yourself when it matters most. All right. So, final thoughts is ultimately, guys, choosing your first carry gun or a new carry gun is finding what works for you. Whether it's cost, ergonomics, adaptability, industry support, manipulating those controls, or portability. Every factor plays a role in making sure you're set up for success. Take your time, do your research, try out as many options as possible before committing. All right? So if you found this video helpful at all, guys, please hit that like button, share it with someone new to the 2A community or someone considering their first firearm. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this, because I'm always here to guide you guys, and you're here to guide me in this journey, all right?